talk about rhythm in video editing. It's not something you hear about enough, and it's definitely not something your favorite YouTubers tell you about. But it can single-handedly take your video from looking like you made it on Windows Movie Maker to impress your kids to a cinematic video that will keep your audience glued till the last minute. It's about using the right sequence of cuts to bring about your story in a way that your audience loses sight of the edits and instead gets pulled into your story. Because that's why you create videos in the first place, right? To tell your story. So in this video, we'll help you understand rhythm in video editing and how you can apply them to your videos. Let's jump right in. Let's begin by understanding what is rhythm. Rhythm in editing is how you sequence and pace your shots to control the mood and viewing experience of your audience. Rhythm is shaped by timing and pacing the clips in your video for the purpose of creating cycles of tension and release. Sounds complex? Let me give you an example. This famous scene from Psycho is a brilliant example of rhythm. You can see that the cuts start at a slow pace. Here, each shot is taking longer than 6 seconds. However, as the tension builds into the scene, the cut starts to get faster. Each shot is around 3 to 5 seconds here. This finally culminates into the killer stabbing the protagonist with the knife. By this point, the cuts are every half a second so that you literally don't have time to think and your mind is now hijacked by the very gruesome act that is happening in front of your eyes. Similarly, in this scene from Christopher Nolan's masterpiece Inception, the cuts are slow initially when Leo enters the room and finds out the chaos. As he sees his wife sitting on the edge of the window, the pace of the cuts starts getting faster. And gradually, as the storyline progresses, it gets even faster to build the tension till the very end. The general rule of rhythm is that the longer the shot, the more relaxing, calm, or suspenseful the scene is. The shorter the shot, the more tense or more exciting the scene is. This is because the longer the cuts, the more time you take to analyze what's happening in the scene and assess how you really want to feel about it. On the other hand, the shorter the cuts, the less time you have to process what's happening in the scene, since the frame has already progressed to the next one and you need to catch up. Action films like Avengers usually have fast cuts to build the tension between shots. On the other hand, emotional or dramatic scenes like this one from La La Land have longer cuts to let you absorb the gravity of what is happening. Sometimes, longer shots gradually shorten to accelerate the tempo of the scene, and an exaggerated long take can create suspense and tension. Setting the pace of an edit is vital to the storytelling aspect and for establishing the general stylistic feel of the film. This rhythm is created by a series of cuts and cannot be determined by 1 or 2 consecutive cuts alone. An editor needs to know just how much time is necessary to give their audience a breather to absorb the moment, or just when to trim or cut the shot before it lingers on for too long. These ups and downs or waves are important to avoid moving at a monotonous speed and evoking the emotions in your audience that you want them to feel. Now let's talk about the standard duration of cuts in a scene. The average length of cuts in a scene is about 4 to 6 seconds. A normal scene, which is not looking to evoke any strong emotions, would be at this pace. A good film has normal cuts most of the time. It's the flat parts of the roller coaster between the ups and downs. And that's why for YouTube videos and talk shows, the recommended length of the cuts is between 4 to 6 seconds too. This ensures that the story keeps moving forward and the visuals keep changing every few seconds for your audience, and they don't feel stuck up at one scene for too long. In fact, this is something we follow for our YouTube videos, where you'll notice that we usually switch the camera angle or switch the focal length of a shot or introduce a B-roll every 4 to 6 seconds. Now let's talk about a few super easy ways that you can use to ensure the visuals in your video keep switching every 4 to 6 seconds. The first one's a match cut. A match cut is any transition, audio or visual that uses elements from the previous shot or scene to fluidly bring the viewer through to the next one. These cuts can also happen within the same scene with the help of different camera angles. This is also widely used by YouTubers to reduce the monotony of the scene by switching between frames every few seconds. They differ from regular cuts because they provide a thematic connection between separate events or concept, which is not the case with mere hard cuts. You can easily create match cuts on InVideo's timeline. All you have to do is add your footage to the timeline and trim it to the part where you want the match cut. and then line up the footage in the second angle to start from right where you ended the first clip. Another popular way to reduce the monotony is by using B-rolls. In simpler terms, B-roll is the secondary footage that you can cut to and come back to the main footage. For example, when you're talking to the camera, that's your A-roll because that's your primary footage. And then you can add another clip that showcases what you're trying to say. Then that's the B-roll. Your voiceover continues throughout the scene, but only the visuals keep switching and comes back. This gives visual cues to the viewer and helps them understand the message of the video better. Let's say you're speaking about artificial intelligence. The frame can then cut to B-rolls of videos of robots and then cut back to you to break the monotonous flow of the video. The best part about B-rolls is that you can actually use stock footages, and this is something you'd see your favorite YouTubers do all the time. Given that InVideo already comes built in with a stock library of high-quality stock footage, you can very easily find a clip that you would like to add as a B-roll. Add it to your scene as a layer on top of the primary footage and then set the in and out times for when you want the scene to switch to B-roll and back. The third and the easiest way to switch your visuals every 4 to 5 seconds is by using graphics such as text or CTAs that can highlight the important bits and again add variety to the frame and keep your audience hooked. Again, if you go back and rewatch this video, you will see that we've used this technique on numerous occasions to establish important pieces of information and again keep the scene moving at the right rhythm. This is super easy to do on InVideo. All you have to do is go to the text option on the screen and click on the text style you'd like to use from a variety of options available, and it'll import into your timeline. Now you can edit the text and set in and out times, and you are done. And that's how you can use simple rules of rhythm in video editing to control how your audience perceives your story and keep them glued to the screen till the last minute. If you found this video useful, you definitely want to check out our playlist on filmmaking fundamentals, where we've covered other such concepts like B-rolls, transitions, and more. This is Christine from InVideo, and I'll see you in the next.
Đăng ký dùng thử miễn phí phần mềm tạo video tại trang web invideo.vn.